And we have current events normally at this time, but I gave Jessica the night off because for y'all that don't know, Jessica's back home. She is working for a charter school here. She is teaching at a charter school. And tonight they had a function and she really wanted to go because a lot of her students were involved in the function. So we told her to get lost and go have fun. So we don't have current events. She's been working on those. She'll be sending those out here real soon. Okay, what we want to talk about. On March the 2nd, 2023, the governor of Tennessee signed into law a bill banning transgender procedures for children. Now, this was a big deal. If you haven't been watching lately, there was a lot of stuff going on. They also had a gun law that they passed that kind of opened it up a little bit more as far as people could carry. This was something that we just saw a lot of people were not happy with. They're not happy with the school shooting, but we're going to get at that in a minute. So, Covenant Christian School in Nashville, Tennessee, on March 27th at 9:53 a.m., their surveillance camera caught the suspect vehicle driving through the parking lot. Now, I want you to kind of look at this video as it's going through. You just saw a person standing on the street or standing on the sidewalk there. You see that there's work going on. Here's another disturbing video right here. You see up here in this corner up here where there are people on the playground playing, and the suspect goes and pulls into the parking lot. Once she gets out of the parking lot, now, the next thing that she does, like I said, this is 9:53. At 9:57, she sent a text message to a friend of hers that she went on and said, so basically, that post I made on here about you, that is basically a suicide note. I plan to die today. This is no joke. You will probably hear about me on the news after I die. This is my last goodbye. I love you. See you in another life. The person comes back, Audrey, you have so much to give. I know, but I don't want to live. I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to upset you or get attention. I just need to die. I want to tell you first because you can read the rest. Now, here's the problem I have with this, because right at this moment in time, the person she sends this text message to, it's 9:57, and she knew there were some issues, and she knew that there was possibly a suicide that might be happening. She says, there's so many key words in here that concern me, because she says, I'm planning to die today. Then if you look at it, it says, you'll probably hear about me on the news after I die. What does that tell you? That tells you that she's going to be making a statement. Now, we don't know what that statement is. We don't have a clue what that might be, but you'll probably hear about me on the news today. Now, her friend contacted the police department. She contacted, first off, she went to her dad, talked to her dad and says, hey, she's been suicidal before. What should I do here? He says, call the police. So she calls the police at 10:08. The police department tell her that it's not an emergency, to call the non-emergency number. She called at 10:13, the 911, told them what was going on, told them what was in this text, and they told her this is this isn't an emergency. Now, like I said, when we look at statement analysis, we talk about this all the time. We say that you need to be looking for words that might cause issues that you really need to be paying attention to. She says right here, the shooter says right here, you'll probably hear about me on the news after I die. That to me just sends out alarms everywhere. Now, she knows where this girl lives. She could have given them the address and had them go and do a knock and talk and see if they could find out something about her. Don't know that it would stop anything. She's already at the school. So I doubt that it would have changed anything, but at least some sort of thing could have gotten started earlier than what we're seeing right now, because here's what happens. She said she called the Nashville non-emergency line at 10:14 and was on hold for nearly 7 minutes before speaking with someone who said they would send an officer to my home. An officer did not come to her home until 3:29 p.m. She had already heard about the shooting. She already knew what had happened, but she had reached out to the police to alert them. And now all of a sudden, there's kind of a drop ball there. I really do feel like it. Like I said, I don't think that there would have been anything they could have done. This was already in the motion. This was already set in play. She contacted her from the parking lot. So she was already there with the 3 weapons that she had. Now, when we look at the next thing, and this is where we talk about churches all the time, when we look at it and say, your front windows are useless. And I'm going to show you why I'm talking about this. Because at 10:10 a.m., the suspect is seen through surveillance footage shooting through the front door and entering the building. So I'm going to show you this video. I say I'm going to show you this video. This is her driving through again. I'm hoping that I didn't cut it out. Now, like I said, this just concerns me right over here, because if you look at the top, there's kids right there. We could have had more people die in this. So right here is the video of her shooting out the door. Our doors, our normal doors, will not stop anything. You can see it right here, how those bullets penetrate the glass and knock them completely out. You would think that we would have learned after Sandy Hook, because this is the exact same way the shooter got into Sandy Hook. He shot out the glass next to the door. The doors were locked. Those doors were locked, but she was able to shoot through the doors, and then she made it inside the building. At 10:13, Nashville police received the first call of an active shooter at the Covenant School. Now, there's some excellent video out there. If you want to see the video without any interruptions and see the officer's video, I didn't show this because I can only show little clips here, because we run into where we have to be careful with copyright and different things like that. But if you're interested in it, please let me know. I'll pass the video on along to you. But it's excellent video from the deputies when they got there. At 10:13 a.m., this is the timeline. Nashville police received the first call of an active shooter inside Covenant School. At 10:21, the first responding officers arrived on campus, law enforcement said. At 10:23, the first officers entered the school. According to investigators, police are wearing body-worn cameras. Footage shows officers going room to room looking for the shooter, clearing classrooms and speeding past at least one body in the hallway. Now, they did cut it out because they didn't show you that of where they saw the body. Now, a lot of people have asked, why did they look on the first floor for the shooter? They had heard that she was on the second floor. At that moment in time, there was no shots being fired. The officers, when they went into the room, when they went into the first floor, they did not really know where she is. They had been told that she was on the second floor, but you got to check the first floor out first and make sure that you're not walking into an ambush, or there might be other shooters. So a team of 5 officers arrived on the second level. At that time, they started to hear, following the sound of gunfire, toward the shooter. The shooter was shooting at police officers outside. 2 officers engaged the suspect, and the suspect is reported down. According to law enforcement, the suspect shooter is declared dead. Okay, so why is this a church issue? Why is this a church issue? Because this was a Christian school. She went to that Christian school. A lot of people are speculating. It's all speculation right now because we really do not know. But some people are speculating that she went back to this school because of her transgender issues with Christianity. Her parents did not want to accept it. That's what we have learned. They kept saying over and over and over it was a mental health issue. So there were some things that we are still looking at, because the manifesto that this shooter put out, and I'm not going to say her name, the shooter put out has not been released to the public. And I really feel that there's a lot of things in there that we need to be paying attention to. We know that the shooter was going to go to a mall, but did not go to the mall because of security there at the mall. So it tells us that she had planned this for some time. She had diagrams of the school. We think that she did surveillance on the school. She went and bought 7 different weapons at 7 different gun stores. Now, when I hear that, to me, in my mind, it tells me that she's trying to hide her actions. It tells me that she does not want people to start putting 2 and 2 together. She goes into the same gun store over and over and continuously buys weapons. That to me would be a red flag. So she goes to different gun stores to buy 5 different gun stores to buy 7 different weapons. It's nothing to buy 2 weapons at one time. I've seen it all the time. I go to gun stores all the time. I see people in there that do that. But to buy 7 weapons at the same place may cause, and this is in a short time frame. They have not given us the total time frame yet, but I have been told that it is shorter than what we expect. So there's other things that we're looking at right now. And like I said, we're really concerned because the transgender portion of this, the regular media is not covering a lot of the things that we're talking about. When we start to look at this, we have to get concerned as a church. First off, right off the bat, the Biden administration in the White House right now is transgender friendly to the point that they're pushing transgender agendas. Now, the Biden administration gives a biological man that says he's a woman an award for courage in honor of International Women's Day during a Wednesday ceremony at the White House. The subject, a man who identifies himself as a woman, receives an International Woman of Courage Award. A newspaper article called Stream said, as U.S. goes all in on child sex change, these countries are having second thoughts. About half the European Union members countries, about half of European Union member countries ban cross-sex surgeries for minors. Biden says not giving those procedures to minors is wrong. But these Finland, Sweden, and the UK have taken decisive steps back from childhood gender transitions amid growing concern about the procedure's safety and effectiveness. Child gender transition, including medical and surgery, are legal throughout most of the United States. It is a sad state in the United States that states have to go and protect under 18 children from these type of procedures because doctors will do it. But that is what we're seeing across the United States. That's what happened in Nashville. That's what happened in Tennessee when the state went in and said, no, for minors, you cannot do this. President Joe Biden and other political leaders' efforts to restrict the treatments for minors have been met with fierce backlash from politicians in the medical establishment. While the childhood gender medicine industry continues in the United States, several countries in Europe are taking steps to limit children's access to these irreversible procedures. I was in a class that was talking about suicide, and the thing it was talking on the suicide cases, what it was talking about, veterans and suicide. And for the first time in years, they saw that veteran suicides were almost not in the, I mean, it was like neck and neck with another group of people and suicide. And those committing suicide were transgenders. Now, transgenders have made a statement out here. The White House press secretary came out and said, this is disturbing. This is just terrible. And our thoughts go out to the transgender society. What about the 6 people that were killed? What about the 3 children that were killed and the 3 workers that were killed there? They don't even want to talk about that. They don't even want to say anything about it. So one of the news articles in one of the websites that I follow is an organization called Christian Emergency Network. Now, Christian Emergency Network went out and did a threat risk landscape increased to the Christian community. And it said that CNN security consultant Maury Fernandez, with decades experience in high-profile security incidents, prevention, and mitigation, says the threat/risk landscape for the Christian community has increased because the core beliefs of Christian schools, churches are contrary to transgender beliefs. Now, here's the thing that concerns me, and here's the difference between Christians and transgenders. We love everybody. Okay. And let me just clarify what we're talking about here. We do not condemn the sinner. We do not condone, though, the sin. If there is a sexual sin in your church that becomes public, you do not condone it. You go to that person, especially if it's a Christian brother of mine, or if it was Wendy and it was a Christian sister, we would go to that person and talk to that person, pray with that person, try to get that person to see the errors of their ways. Now, once we see that that's not going to happen, that they're going to continue to do this, and this creates issues in the church, a lot of times we'll ask those people to leave. That's just, we have done this over and over and over again. We have seen people having relationships outside the marriage. We've talked to them. We've asked them to please stop. We've done counseling with them. And then when all else fails, we ask them to leave. Because what that says is that our church is condoning that type of activity. Now, if a transgender comes in to our church and tells us they're a transgender, we're going to pray for them. We're going to talk to them, and we're going to see if we can't lead them to Christ, because I'm going to say it this way. I'm going to let the Holy Spirit do the work. If we talk to them about Christ and we plant a seed about who Christ is and the love of Christ, let the Holy Spirit take over and let that work. But I'm going back to this and see the Christian Emergency Network. The core beliefs of Christian schools, churches are contrary to transgender beliefs. You can read that everywhere. I could spend a whole night talking about this. I could go on and on and on talking about Twitter. I can talk about how a press secretary for the state of, I think it was Wisconsin, posted a tweet about a woman holding guns saying, this is how we deal with transphobic people. I mean, it is everywhere out there. The shooter is being hailed as a hero on social media, encouraging further attacks on the Christian community at large. Like I said, I can go and show you this on Twitter files, on Instagram. I can show it all over the place on the internet. All you got to do is just go out and look for it. There is a universal call for Christian vengeance, where a whole weekend was planned by the gender community in Washington, D.C. I don't know if you saw that. It was trans revenge against the Christian community. There have been other citywide calls for attacks against Christians in mainstream media, which are escalating nationwide. There are often copycat shooter after shooting, so we have to understand that we have to be watching for that. Like this, where a lot of media attention has focused on the incident, not releasing the manifesto causes me concern. Why is that? Why is that? Look, there are extreme right Christians, and I understand that. And there are extreme right Christians that might do something against the transgender. That is not us. That is not the group that I'm speaking to. That doesn't have anything to do with the organization that we are or anybody that we're associated with. You know that, you know our hearts. The general public is now and more aware. Most Christian schools and churches do not have a security plan in place, which includes simple deterrents such as bulletproof doors and windows, on-site security personnel, protocols which keep doors locked appropriately. Let me say one thing about this shooting. 6 people is too many, but I am amazed that it was only 6. This school was a fairly good-sized school. There were a lot of people on campus that day. I'm trying to get the number. We have seen where kids were being led away from the school, being placed on buses to a relocation area to where they could get up with their families. We have seen that. The thing of it is that this could have been a lot worse. This could have been a lot worse. So we do know that the lockdown theory of locking the doors, the principal was hit right off the bat, they said, because she came out and confronted the shooter. The other 2 people just happened to be there. One of the little girls, held as a hero, was pulling the fire alarm to try to get local law enforcement emergency vehicles there when she was killed. We know that the children were killed outside the classrooms. Somehow they were out. We don't know. Like I said, there's a lot of unanswered questions here that I have, but they're not giving us the information. They're not sharing that with us. And so until we have this stuff, we have to be sure that we're paying attention to what is going on at our churches. We need to be looking for disruptions. That's one of the things I want us to talk about, because we in our church, and I'm going to pass this on to the men and women in our church, have had several incidents now here recently where there's been some disruptions because of different things. One is the loudness of the music. I mean, that's a little off. I mean, it's just a person who's not happy, but you do have to pay attention to that. And then the other thing that we have is we had a kid come into an adult group and start asking questions about, is there truly only one God? Because there's a whole lot of other religions that we should be studying, and we should be taking those to heart, and to be putting those, we should all be studying all of them, because all of them have good stuff to follow. That's just not our teachings. We believe that Christ is the only one. We believe that Christ is the way, the truth, and the life to God. And those that believe in him only get to go and meet God. So these are things that we're working on. These are things that we need to be paying attention to. This is a great weekend. The reason why we are all together is because of this weekend. If it had not been for Christ's death and resurrection, none of us would have met. Really, it would have been happenstance if we'd have gotten together. I can tell you right now that the men and women that are on my safety team, most of them I would have never met if it had not been for the church and God's unique plan. That's just all there is to it. So this weekend, we, as a safety team, members of all the churches that we're working with, all of you that are out there, we had the opportunity to be Christ ambassadors. And we need to take that, and we need to just do it to the best of our ability. We need to be our Christ ambassadors, and we also need to be the watchmen and watchwomen on the wall. And we need to focus on everything that is going on in our church and make sure that this is the best Easter out there. We need to rejoice the fellowship that we're going to go through this week, because you know as well as I do, the Creasters are coming out, those that only come on Christmas and Easter. So it'll be great seeing old friends and getting the fellowship with our brothers and sisters that are in Christ. So with that, I'm going to open it up to questions. If anybody has any questions. Just want to say, we really have to be paying attention to this. The FBI even put out, the Department of Justice even put out a warning to Christian churches because of the current events that are happening. Now, they did not list, they listed extremist, domestic violent extremist groups, but they didn't list them who they were. And I'm telling you, the transgenders, there's some out here that are extreme on this. We saw it in Tennessee where they were upset with the gun violence. They blamed, once again, they blamed the shooting at the school. They didn't miss a chance to go after guns, and they blamed it on the weapons instead of the person that did it. We talk about this all the time. We talk about this all the time, and that is mental health issues that are going on. We understand that this shooter in Tennessee had been to a psychiatrist. We don't know the extent of it. We have not heard everything that is out there. We're searching for answers because they're really being tight-lipped on this. They're not sharing everything that we feel like they should be sharing. And one of the things that I'm pushing for and hoping that somebody can get it is the manifesto, the notes that she wrote. When the shooting happened in New Zealand, the manifesto was online somewhere. Now, one of the psychiatrists that talked about this, and I'll talk just a couple of more minutes in case somebody has a question, but one of the psychiatrists that talked about this called her a psychopath. I'm not going to put that in there, a masochist, a sadistic person, because she did plan this. She planned this out. Like I said, she bought weapons from 5 different stores. She had floor plans of the school. She knew the school because she had been there. All these different things lead to a person that had planned this. This was just not a random attack of somebody that just got up in the morning and said that she was going to kill people. This had been planned. There's other things that she was going to do. I think she wanted to die right then and there. I don't know but I think that she was going to kill her parents if she had went home after this happened. This is just my experience in law enforcement and what I've seen. So that is what we're saying. Be ready for Christmas. Be ready for people that might just disrupt we're not talking about that this could be as serious as what we've had here, but we have to be prepared and we have to be ready for it. So be watching for people that do not agree with your beliefs. I even saw a church here this last week that posted that if we don't start, we as the church don't start accepting transgenders as they are, there will be more violence and it'll be our fault. That's just scary. That's a scary statement that this church made. So if you don't have anything else, we're going to close up. All right, save the date. We have an event that's happening. Hang on one second. I will tell you the date. Staying safe in today's world. This is Saturday, June the 10th from 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. This is situational awareness, things to do in Tampa, safety. It's a safety conference. This is for everybody. This is not just for safety teams. This is being put on by Trinity Security Allies with USCCA to talk about how we make ourselves safe in this fallen world. We cannot watch over everybody 24 hours a day. So what we need to be doing is we need to be training the people in our church so that they can see what is happening and be aware of what is going on and rely on the Holy Spirit to help them with this. But this is something that we're really excited about. This is something that we've started, we're going to start doing more of making sure that we get all people involved. This includes those in children's ministry. This includes your congregation. Anybody that is interested in their safety because of crime rates that are going up. There was a study done that, a survey done that 59% of the people in Florida do not feel safe when they're out. Well, we need to educate everybody on how to make sure that they feel safer. So this is going to be on July 10th from 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. There will be light refreshments. It's $25, I believe. Pre-register at TrinitySecurityAllies.com. Okay, church safety security membership with training is $300 a month or $3,000 a year. Schedule phone call, consultant Zoom meetings with me on safety concerns as needed with safety team lead, team, and church leadership. A full day of training on the topic of your choice that Trinity Security Allies offers. If in Tampa Bay, 2 weeknights can replace a full day of training if outside travel is not included. Access to online membership and meetings for your team and discounted tickets for a conference for every team member. Church safety consulting membership. This is just $75 a month or $750 per year. And that gives you scheduled phone call meetings with me on safety concerns as needed with safety team leaders, team and or church leadership, discounted tickets for your team, and access to online training and members meeting. Okay, with our national partnership with USCCA, this is a sponsored event. This is minimal cost to churches. What we ask the church to do is to help us in this, provide a minimum of 60 pre-registered prepaid attendees to avoid travel costs. That's way if we go anywhere, we're trying to make it to where the church doesn't have to put out any money at all. If under 60, churches will be invoiced reasonable travel expenses. Attendees pay $30 per person and includes my book, God's Unseen Plan. Church leadership to provide snacks, space, promotion to the church and surrounding churches. Churches will handle a contact on site to work with that, with handling that check-in, and consider a consulting membership for ongoing support after this event. Online training membership. This is for individuals, $25 a month or $250 a year. Access to online member library with training videos, discounted event tickets, and join an online member-only Zoom meeting. This is where we discuss issues and concerns with myself and other safety team members across the country. We've had a lot of discussion here on things that have been happening. We just had an event down in Venice where a guy there were so many red flags that he threw his wallet away. He said that Satan was talking to him. They knew that he had some handicap issues. And when when local law enforcement showed up, normally when they're on campus, they pointed him out to them. They went over and talked to him and they Baker acted him. This guy said, Satan told me to get rid of my wallet because when he got finished doing the thing that he was going to do, that nobody would know who he was. So this just happened here recently, and one of our churches brought it up to us and talked to us about it. USCCA, if you are carrying a weapon, hey, if you have not noticed, the state of Florida is now allowing constitutional carry. I would tell you right now, this does not give you the right to be out here running around doing police work. This does not give you the right to run around here and try to stop crimes. But if you're caught in a situation that where you have to defend yourself, who is going to protect you? And this is why we have signed up. This is why we've joined with USCCA. We're now a national partner with them. Kind of watch out, because we're going to be going to a lot more places because they're helping us out. You can order today my book. It's for $20, and I'll sign it and send it right to you. We still have our free resources out there. You've seen them before. All you got to do is go out, pull them down. PDF, all we ask is for your email address. We do see a lot of activity in that, and then we reach out to the churches. If you know of a church that's interested, we just had one here recently in the local area. This is what we told them to do. And immediately after they read our stuff, they came back and talked to us, and we're going to be doing a presentation at their church here soon. True Christian Talk. This is where Kevin Haggerty and I get together. Kevin, who is a pastor, and we talk about issues of the world and how Christians should be looking at this and how Christians should be acting. This is something that we feel like that we need to be more involved. The church needs to be talking about this more. And we're just a voice out here. It's on Rumble. Please go sign up. Help us out. Like it. Give us a thumbs up, because we're getting a lot of views. We're just not getting the amount of notifications that's on there to help us in the algorithms to put us higher on the top. We've been higher up the chain link because Rumble is it's kind of started out small, but a lot of people are joining now. So it's really exciting because we feel like we're on the ground floor and there's nothing more than to go up. So Thursdays at 11 o'clock, Kevin and I talk about what's going on today. Of course, we talked about the Trump indictment, but Kevin and I both feel that this is a diversion to keep you from looking at what is really worrying you right now. And one of the things that's worrying you is about inflation, but they want you to look at the Trump, because it's 24/7 now about the Trump indictment. And there's too many things going on. This is a diversion. It's a tactic. Okay, if there are not any other questions, I'm going to bid you good night. I'm going to thank you for coming out. I want you to have a great Easter. I want you to have a fantastic Easter. I want you to remember what it is for, and it is for God's love for us, that Christ died and after 3 days rose again. We are here right now because of him. I thank everybody for coming out. I appreciate your support, and I look forward to working for you in the coming months. God bless, be safe, and we'll talk soon.